There are only two possibilities in life, either do this or do that. या तो दिमाग की सुनो या थोड़ी बहुत मन की सुनो, या फिर कभी कभी कुछ सलाहकारों की सुनो। लेकिन सुनना तो पड़ता ही है क्योंकि हम चाहते हैं कि हम खुद सुने। Well, Mannkey Talkies, a show created by you, created by us, for us, where we talk a little bit from the heart, a little bit from the brain, and together bring out our thoughts so that we can encourage each other, motivate each other, bring those smiles, and realize that all our lives are just alike. So, who's having an alike life here on Mannkey Talkies today? I'm joined by Meeta Srivastava and Dr. Nidhi Lal. Let's welcome them. Welcome, ladies, to Mannkey Talkies. How are you this evening?
Thank you all. Very well.
Thank
Doing
you,
great,
Nidhi.
Madhuri. Thank you.
Wonderful looking at both of you. There's a lot of resemblance there. I'm going to talk about that a little later. But like I said कि हम या तो ये कर सकते हैं या तो वो कर सकते हैं. जिंदगी में सिर्फ दो ही ऑप्शंस हैं. लेकिन बीच में हम किसी को घुसा देते हैं और हम उनसे चाहते हैं थोड़ी सी सलाह, advice. I want to talk to you ladies today about what advice means to you. And with the name Dr. Nidhi Lal. Oh, the advice comes free or with a cost. Nidhi, what do you say about that?
So, Madhuri, it's really my job to give advice all day long. And it's an interesting piece. So it's not really advice, it's actually giving orders or telling people what to do. So you say, you'd have to take this tablet one tablet 2 times a day for 5 days. And nobody really questions that. They don't say, well, can I take it for 3 days? Can I take it for 5 days? Can I take it for 7 days? Should I take 1 tablet a day? They just say, yes, okay. So it's an interesting nuance when you come home and then you tell your children, you get to eat this for dinner. And then they say, well, can I have that? And can I have this? So it's like a mind switch that you do one thing at work. And then you can change your persona a bit as you transition a little bit. So that's why I like to have a long commute, which is what I have. I drive an hour and a half so that I can zone out of that giving advice all day long to getting, things listened to and maybe questioned a little bit.
So they say physicians, as a code of ethics also says that they don't treat themselves or their family members, but they are friends and family who always often go and ask advice from friends. मेरी एक friend है, उसकी बहन है या उसकी चाची है जो एक डॉक्टर है, उनसे पूछते हैं. जब ऐसे situations आती हैं तो क्या करते हैं मीता?
Of course, you reach out to, family, and having a doctor in the family is always a blessing because लगता है कि उनकी advice genuine ही होगी. So you want to get that first soundboard, have that soundboard from them. Of course, then you will go to if they are not in the physically same location, you would go to your own local doctor depending on insurance. But you would always seek the advice of your, if you have a doctor, medical practitioner in your own family or close circle.
Yes. But friends, when we talk about advice, and of course today, because I have 2 friends here, Nidhi, who's a doctor, and Meeta, she believes in holistic healing and she practices that also. And of course, she gives lots of friendly advice and suggestions to her friends. Now, जब डॉक्टर से आता है वो ट्रीटमेंट बन जाता है, जब एक दोस्त से आता है वो क्या होता है? सलाह लेंगे तो लेंगे, नहीं तो नहीं. So, but Nidhi, when we talk about advice from doctors as friends, or when you go to a party or those kind of gatherings, this sometimes could also lead to strained relationships and embarrassments. Let's not talk about family. We're talking about friends. Do you encounter the situation? So as a medical fraternity, what are your thoughts about it?
So yes, you can encounter that. And, as you get older, you get better and better at saying no. Or you get better and better at saying, why don't you talk to your own doctor about this? Or I don't feel comfortable discussing this with you. So I have had similar situations where I have declined to get involved or give advice. The other side is also, like you mentioned, it is just advice. It's not something. So um, there can be a different perspective where you have to learn not to take it personally if they don't follow your advice. So, it's free, it's advice. Whereas when you come into my clinic, you pay a $20 copay, and so you will listen to what I say. Whereas in a party, it's free. So then you'll go and ask the next person, and then probably another family member. So यही होता है, घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर. तो वो जरूर याद रखना चाहिए. It can happen that you may have certain situations where you have to take action, because people tend to disclose very personal parts of their lives with you and discuss that. And they feel very relaxed because they know we as doctors take our HIPAA code of personal information very seriously. So I will never ever discuss it with somebody else. But I will like to remind people that that's not really the place to be talking about their personal lives.
Beautifully said. That's definitely not the place to be. But it's in a friend circle where we take advice from friends and we talk to them and we share many things which we don't discuss even with the doctors or with the lawyers. कहते हैं कि दोस्तों में एक डॉक्टर और एक लॉयर होना बहुत जरूरी है, लेकिन कभी कभी वो बहुत महंगा पड़ सकता है. मीता, आपका क्या कहना है? जब दोस्तों से सलाह मिलती है, जब दोस्तों से हम बात करते हैं, बहुत सारी बातें करते हैं. In fact, sometimes the doctors and the lawyers also do not know what the friends know. So what happens in those kind of situations when advice is given or taken?
So
do you think that sustains relationships?
It depends on the purity of the relationship.
Beautiful. Okay.
I feel close friends, family, they would always want the best for you. So their advice will always be genuine. It may not always be accurate. So, of course, it depends on, like a friend's advice. She would always, a close friend would, definitely be a well-wisher, would want something genuinely, but her advice or their advice may not be accurate. So you have to weigh that, not blindly follow.
But आपको क्या लगता है कि what is the emotional space a person comes and when a friend comes to you for an advice? I have this situation, whether it's black or white. How do I get into the gray? But then after taking the advice, we always still go back to what we want. It's maybe the voting game that happens with a friend, right?
Right. बिल्कुल बिल्कुल वो होता है कि in the end your own brain also starts thinking, right? मैंने इससे पूछा, इससे एक और से पूछा. It depends on that person कितने लोगों से सलाह ली है. And then they would maybe sometimes you need a third person's perspective or a second person's perspective to see a situation. So in that case, but I think advice dena is like giving charity. You give it and don't, one hand should not know what the other hand gave. So you don't think about it again.
दुनिया की सबसे महंगी चीज और मुफ्त मिलती है वो है एडवाइस. लेकिन जब एडवाइस लेते हैं, whether from a friend, you don't take it or don't take it. But when it comes to a doctor, I mean, I don't want to put you on a spot because we just want to have a light conversation here. Do you, when you give an advice, treatment is completely different, Nidhi, when you're talking about advice, because treatment के साथ साथ आप थोड़ी सी सलाह भी देते हैं, right, अपने patients को, जब वो नहीं follow करते हैं, तो the dynamics of feeling, keeping yourself away from it is a little more compared to a friend जो अपने आप को कुछ ज्यादा ही इन्वॉल्व करते हैं किसी के, helping somebody in taking a decision. What do you say about it?
Yeah, so COVID is a great example because I went forced telling people wear masks, get vaccinated. Not everyone followed the advice. And then you realize it was a good lesson that people, friends, family do what they want to do. You just tell them, again, because our knowledge with COVID is also evolving. So I don't know everything. Science doesn't know everything, and you still do the best you can. So I feel that not taking it personally is really important. I feel that when because I'm a family physician, I tend to have a very unique perspective. I know my patients, I know their families. And so I can tell a little bit more than just, why their blood sugar is high versus just the diabetologist who will just look at the patient. I know what they eat. I know what's going on in the family, little cultural context. So those things are important. And similarly, with friends, you know a little bit of who's with them, what's going on in their lives, what do they like, what do they not like. So you can give your advice appropriately.
Yeah. Friends in Monkey Talkies, we've spoken about so many things and we speak from the heart. It's just impromptu what comes to mind. And just like all of you, I got so tempted when I saw a doctor in front of me and I'm like, kuch to पूछना चाहिए, मौका मिला है, पूछ ही लेते हैं. So that's how this all conversation started. And, you know, we're talking about advice. We're talking about advice from friends and from professionals, whether it's medical fraternity or any other. But there are aspects which are very important, which we neglect. But getting an opportunity like this, a reminder again and again, how much your physicals are important. Just give an advice or your thought on that, Nidhi, because I know I still want to get back to the same concept or thought that, you are not only you, a lot from your community and your fraternity are gathered in outside the premises of your medical buildings, where people ask you questions, but the importance of physical. Why do you feel South Asian women's neglect this particular aspect of it?
So I always tell my patients it's easier to prevent things than to cure things. So that's the importance of physicals. I mean, there can be a person who will say, what did you do? And I will tell them that, you didn't understand, but when you got up from that chair and took off your shoes and socks and went and sat at the table, I was actually looking at your gait, your balance, your fine motor skills with the shoelaces. So there's a lot that we are able to judge and evaluate in those little day-to-day actions. Similarly, getting timely mammograms, getting your eye exam, getting your skin checks is essential so that we can catch things early versus treating them at a later stage. The last thing I do say is the physical helps you develop a connection with your primary care doctor. And that is really key because, again, when I said I know my patients, how do I know them? If they come like every 3 years, I will not know them. It's only when they come in and we talk about who's graduating and who is having another baby and what's going on in their lives that I know them, so that when the text or something goes off, I can catch it sooner.
That is a very simple advice. मुफ्त में मिली है दोस्तों, please आप ले लीजिएगा. Meeta, I see that you practice a lot of holistic lifestyle and holistic healing. And how has it improved or changed your life? I think the last time you were on Mannkey Talkies, that was completely different state of mind, state of situation. How has your journey been over the last year?
It's been an interesting year, Madhvi. It's been a year of a lot of learning, personally, at a lot of levels, a lot of growth, internal growth as well. And I am happy because I feel I've progressed.
Okay.
I feel that, your challenges are given in life, but how you deal with them, how you move on. I do have a fort around me with, family and friends, and that always helps. I always feel that your attitude is your choice. You might as well have one of gratitude and, choose an optimistic or a cheerful attitude, because nothing else you cannot change anything else except your attitude. So I do it's not always easy and I'm not always this way, but I try to remind myself to be positive and to have an attitude of gratitude.
Beautiful. I mean, 24/7 positive तो नहीं रह सकते हैं, अपने अपने moments आते हैं. As a doctor, you must be facing the situations. You have a family life, you have a personal life, you have your own professional life. The balance between that and what happens in those moments. How do you calm yourself, Dr. Nidhi?
Well, it's always evolving. So, when your kids were younger and you had to take them to swim class and ballet lessons, so then it's a different need and a different work-life balance. As your kids grow up, they have they drive themselves. So it's a different work-life balance. So these things are always evolving. I think for me, like I mentioned, the driving, it's almost like a meditation. You zone yourself out, always trying to be balanced, having that positive outlook, having your resources, which are your friends and family, your colleagues, is essential. And then the last thing I will tell you is that I'm really passionate about my work. So I love going into work every single day. And so that keeps me happy, that keeps me grounded, and that keeps my patients really keep me grounded. They tell me when I'm not doing what I need to do for them. So those are little things that are important in life. We need to always remember that it's always about a community, and that's what keeps you well.
Absolutely. Meeta, you're a talent acquisition manager, and of course, you also have a lifestyle. You have young kids, school-going kids. उनके साथ भी handling होती है situations. मुझे एक चीज पता है कि आप दोनों alphabet M से connected हो. एक music और एक podcast called Musings. I want both of you to take this moment to talk about that. Meeta, going with you, talk about the musical journey. I know that you are a very passionate singer. You have music classes, and talk about your students and how this journey has been, especially as an immigrant, and how you have, experienced this or taken this to the next level.
So I don't know about taking it to the next level, Madhuri. Music is a sadhana. Hindi में हम कहते हैं it's a sadhana, it's a journey, it's a meditation. It has so many facets. It's medication, it is meditation, it is pure, it is godliness, it is divine. I've always felt if there's a shortcut to divinity, it would be through music. And it's always just been a part of our childhood, always been at home. I was fortunate enough to, get music lessons as a young girl, which I continued through my teenage years and as much as I could in India. फिर of course life आ जाती है, बीच में पढ़ाई आ जाती है, college हो जाता है, and then उस समय इतना उसकी अहमियत नहीं होती है. पर यहाँ आने के बाद in this country, and especially after I had kids, I felt that need कि मेरे बच्चे भी सीखें और मेरे आस पड़ोस के भी बच्चे सीखें. All I can do is sow those seeds, and where would see where they would take it. So I do have it's more of an introduction to music class, classical Hindustani classical music, because that is the base. Classical music is the base of everything, for few children in my neighborhood. And जब वो बच्चे आते हैं माधुरी गाते हैं, मेरा घर मंदिर बन जाता है. So I love it. I'm happy and I'm blessed. I'm definitely blessed to be in this journey.
That's nice. Friends, मन की टॉकीज में हम मन की बात करते हैं. आप सोच रहे हो कि आज दो बहुत ही खूबसूरत लेडीज यहाँ पे डॉक्टर निधि लाल एंड मीता श्रीवास्तव बैठे हैं. दोनों की अलग अलग जर्नी है, कितना कुछ कॉमन भी है हमारी जिंदगी के साथ. अभी मीता ने म्यूजिक के बारे में बात की, चलो डॉक्टर निधि से पूछते हैं कि ये म्यूजिक क्या है.
So music is just something that came about. क्या होता है, as I was teaching residents, medical students, I realized that often you talk to them and you teach about your journey or your lessons learned through your patients. And we realized that when it's one student, one resident, it's one story. These lessons are learned really much better than a textbook or a classroom setting. So we decided, let's just do it as a podcast. And आजकल बच्चे textbook तो पढ़ते ही नहीं है. They would prefer to listen to music or listen to podcasts or look at something visually on social media. And that's how they learn better. So that's what music is all about. It's just my experiences as a family doctor with my patients. It's really my patient stories and the lessons that they have taught me. And my hope is that these lessons can continue, and the mistakes that I have made or the things that I have learned along the way, others can learn from listening to my stories. So that's what it is. And then you realize that your stories are not enough. There are so many stories out there. And so that was the next season. And so just like Meeta sows these little seeds with her music, we are telling our stories through narration, and then taking it forward, hopefully.
So I feel that this kind of talent, this kind of thought process, this kind of growth is all in your DNA. By any chance, both of you are connected? Who wants to spill the beans there?
We share
the
parents.
same genetic, we share the genetic material.
We say mom to the same lady. And Papa to the same.
This is a great moment for you to talk about the ecosystem and something about your childhood. Let's quickly talk about and give a shout out to your parents, your in-laws who are there with you, and what kind of an ecosystem it is that you have that nourishes this kind of thought process. Congratulations to a great family that brings in the best in both of you.
Thank you, Madhvi.
Thank you.
So अभी इस वक्त आपके फैमिली मेंबर्स यहाँ पर हैं कि आप often travel भी करती हैं because the kind of life you have, being a doctor, children going to school and their colleges and musings and music and everything happening, where do you find the time? Where do you find the time? Let's quickly have a quick talk about that we women out there think that time नहीं मिलता है, time निकालना पड़ता है. जिस तरह से आज हमने मन की टॉकीज में just 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes निकाला एक दूसरे के लिए. And I'm sure you had plenty of questions before we started the show. What is this show all about, है ना? So your final thoughts about what you think about this concept is, Nidhi?
I think that is really valuable. And the concept that you are saying about just sharing Man Ki Baat is really important because every time that it's an impromptu, as we can see, it's an impromptu discussion, which can give so many lessons and tips versus a more well-rehearsed or a planned conversation. So उसमें क्या होता है, the genuine or the real मन की बात उभर के आती है, and it can, hopefully touch someone's heart.
That's the thought behind that. Meeta, it's your second time around here and many more ahead. I know you've introduced so many wonderful friends to this program. So I want your thought about this journey of Mannkey Talkies over the years.
Mannkey is always dear, very dear to me, Madhvi. You are a dear friend, of course. But this platform for women to be able to share, and on different topics, it's like you're talking to a friend. Different topics, just having that. कई बार बहुत अच्छा लगता है बस किसी से बात करके, share करके, मन हल्का करके. So it's a very non-judgmental, friendly platform, which is it's great, and you have my 100% support always. Anything I can do, it would be an honor.
Thank you. Holistic healing and medical advice. Both say that communication is a must. Talk to your friends, talk to your family. That keeps the, enzymes and the hormones in place and in check. And I guess Mannkey Talkies is just a small little attempt towards that. Absolutely free. Come join the platform. Talk about anything that is close to your heart. Introduce your friend, introduce your family member, and together let's make new friends and let's bring back that energy that is slowly, slowly dying because of these gadgets, which we just keep staring and do nothing about it. Please like, share, and subscribe to Events Now USA. And I'm going to catch you again on Mannkey Talkies. You want to be part of it? The numbers and the email IDs are scrolling behind us. Thank you, Dr. Nidhi Lal, and thank you, Meeta Srivastava. I look forward to many more conversations with both of you.